The palace of Pharaoh was a fortress of stone and power. Its walls, tall and unyielding, held secrets of a kingdom that ruled with iron and fear. Inside, the air was thick with the whispers of slaves and the opulence of royalty. But amidst all this, there was a baby that could change the future. Moses, the child chosen by God, born into a time of persecution, where every Hebrew infant was doomed to die at the hand of the Pharaoh's decree. His fate, however, was about to take a turn no one could have predicted, and to protect him, a shadow moved unseen through the halls of the palace. Natasha Romanoff, better known as the Black Widow, had lived a life built on deception and stealth. But this mission was different. Her target wasn't a weapon or a high-profile diplomat, it was a child, and the fate of the world rested on his survival. The orders came from a mysterious source, an unseen hand guiding her steps. Her mission was simple: infiltrate Pharaoh's palace and protect the child Moses. No weapons, no backup, just her skills and a divine calling. She slid silently through the shadows of the palace, her red hair hidden beneath a hood. Her movements were graceful, calculated, and deliberate. The guards passed by without a second thought. One more day in a kingdom filled with secrets. As she approached the inner chambers, she recalled the strange feeling that had led her here, a whisper in her mind, a tug on her heart. It wasn't her training or intellect that had brought her here, it was faith. Faith in a plan greater than her own. She reached the nursery. Through the window, she saw the infant lying in a basket, surrounded by the soft glow of torchlight. His cries were faint, but filled with promise. God's plan, Natasha whispered, her breath steady despite the weight of the mission. She had faced assassins, armies, and entire organizations, but this was different. She was guarding the future. The door creaked open. The nursery was quiet, save for the soft rustle of a blanket and the distant murmurs of palace servants. Natasha slipped inside, her black boots making no sound on the stone floor. Her sharp eyes scanned the room, and for a moment, she felt the weight of the task before her. The child, the future deliverer of Israel, lay there, innocent and unaware of the danger that surrounded him. His tiny chest rose and fell with each breath, his eyes closed in peaceful slumber. Natasha's heart tightened. She had never known a life like that: innocence, freedom from the weight of the world. Her own childhood had been filled with training and survival, but here, before her, was something pure, a life that could change everything. She approached the crib cautiously, her every move calculated. Her senses were on high alert. At any moment, the Pharaoh's guards could find her. The mission wasn't just about protecting Moses, it was about preventing a prophecy from being fulfilled. If Pharaoh discovered the child, he would have him killed. If that happened, everything would be lost. Her hand reached out to touch the basket, but then footsteps, heavy, deliberate. Her body tensed. She knew the palace well enough to know that the guards didn't follow regular patrols. This was an unexpected visit. The only way out was the small window on the far side of the room, but it was too far. Her eyes darted around, calculating her next move. The door creaked open. A guard entered, his eyes scanning the room. Natasha froze, blending into the shadows like a ghost. The guard stepped closer, his steps slow but unwavering. He was unaware of her presence, or at least, he hoped to be. She didn't move. She couldn't. The slightest sound would reveal her location. The guard paused beside the crib. He didn't see her, but Natasha could feel the tension in the air. Her heart raced, but her face remained calm. This wasn't just a matter of survival. This was divine intervention. The baby Moses was meant to live. She knew it in her bones. The guard stood there for what felt like an eternity. But then, miraculously, he turned and left, without ever noticing the shadow in the corner of the room. Natasha exhaled, relief flooding her veins. But she couldn't relax. Not yet. The mission was far from over. She moved quickly, silently, and lifted Moses into her arms. "You're safe for now," she whispered to the child, her voice barely audible. "But we have a long way to go." As she made her way to the window, she felt a strange sense of calm wash over her. This mission wasn't just about her skills, it was about trust. Trust in something far greater than herself. She was being guided by faith, and for the first time, she allowed herself to believe in something beyond her control. She opened the window, and the cool night air rushed in. The stars above were the only witnesses to what was about to unfold. Natasha's heart pounded in her chest as she gripped Moses securely in her arms. The cold night air rushed through the open window, carrying with it the scent of the desert and the distant sounds of the bustling city of Egypt. But here, in the silence of the palace, only the ticking of time seemed to matter. Every second brought them closer to danger. She knew Pharaoh's guards would be looking for her. The palace wasn't just a structure, it was a labyrinth of corridors and courtyards, each filled with spies and watchful eyes. She had to move quickly, but silently if she was caught. Moses' life would be forfeit, and her mission would fail. Her mind raced. The window led to a narrow ledge that wrapped around the palace. The height was dizzying, but there was no other option. Natasha's agility and training had prepared her for moments like this. She could do this. As she eased herself out onto the ledge, she carefully placed one foot in front of the other. The walls of the palace were smooth, but not enough to slow her down. She crouched low, moving with the precision of a cat, her eyes scanning the courtyard below for any signs of movement. Moses stirred in her arms, his tiny form shivering against the chill. Natasha's protective instincts flared. She whispered softly to him, "Just a little longer, little one. Hold on." From her position, she could see the guards below, patrolling the outer perimeter. They were armed, and their eyes were sharp. If they spotted her, there would be no escaping. Every step, every breath had to be calculated. There could be no mistakes. As she moved along the ledge, she felt a strange pull within her, like an invisible thread guiding her path. It was faith, she realized. A trust in something beyond her abilities, beyond her training. She had been chosen for this task. She was the vessel of divine will. The night air grew colder, and the palace lights dimmed. Just as Natasha neared the end of the ledge, a guard appeared in the courtyard below, his lantern swinging low. Natasha froze, holding her breath. She could hear the crunch of his boots on the stone, each step like a drumbeat in the stillness of the night. The guard paused, looking up toward her position, just inches from where she crouched. Natasha's pulse quickened. If he turned his head, if he saw her even for a moment. But then, miraculously, the guard turned his back. He continued his patrol, unaware of the silent figure above him. Without wasting a moment, Natasha made her move. She pushed herself off the ledge, landing silently on the ground below. She had reached the outer wall of the palace, but the journey was far from over. The night sky stretched endlessly above Natasha as she crouched low, cradling Moses against her chest. She had made it out of Pharaoh's palace, but the path ahead was fraught with danger. The palace guards would soon realize the child was gone, and when they did, all of Egypt would be on the lookout for them. But Natasha was no stranger to danger. She had lived a life built on shadows and deception. But this mission was different. This wasn't about personal survival, which was about protecting a child, the one chosen to bring freedom to his people. Her heart, usually so hardened, felt a flicker of something more, something like faith. She pressed on through the darkened streets of the city, staying in the shadows, moving with the fluidity of a predator. Her senses were sharp, and every corner held the potential for a threat. Every guard, every passerby was a risk. But she had to keep moving. She had to get Moses to safety. The city of Egypt was vast, and it was easy to get lost in its winding alleys and crowded marketplaces. But Natasha had a plan. She had studied the city for weeks before this mission, every route, every escape. The desert lay just beyond the city walls, and once they reached it, they could lose themselves in the endless sands. But first, they had to make it through the city without being spotted. As she neared the edge of the city, the sound of hooves approached. Her heart skipped a beat. She ducked into an alley, pressing herself and Moses against the cool stone wall. The horses rode past, their riders unaware of the fugitive hiding just a few feet away. "God, guide me," Natasha whispered under her breath. She had been on many covert missions, but this one felt different. The stakes were higher. The weight of the child in her arms was a constant reminder that she was part of something much bigger than herself. Minutes felt like hours. The night stretched on. When the sounds of the city grew fainter, Natasha knew they were close to the outskirts. The desert lay beyond, and there she would find a guide who could help her cross into safety. But first, she had to get past the last line of defense, a group of Pharaoh's soldiers stationed at the city gate. Her breath quickened as she approached the gate. 2 guards stood watch, their eyes scanning the night. If they saw her now, everything would be lost. She had one shot,